WNYC support comes from Netflix, presenting The Thursday Murder Club, a whodunit about 4 irrepressible retirees who solve cold case murders for fun, starring Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, and Celia Imrie. Now playing only on Netflix. Rated PG-13.
The Humvee is one of the most recognizable symbols of the U.S. Army.
Kind of this symbol of American military power from, the first Gulf War all the way through to the end of the Iraq War.
Well, the Army has started the process of retiring the Humvee. So what does that say about what the military expects in future conflicts? That's on the next On Point. Weeknights at 8 on WNYC.
It is 6:52, and you're listening to Morning Edition on WNYC. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and then next hour, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been clashing with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle while on Capitol Hill.
You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services. You don't have any idea how many Americans died from COVID?
Kennedy goes to Congress and so much more in about 15 minutes from NPR and WNYC. 69 and sunny, on our way to a mostly sunny day with a high of 83. A light wind this morning. 71 and mostly clear tonight. And then tomorrow we have chances of midday and afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Some of that rainfall could be heavy. A high in the mid-80s on Saturday.
The U.S. and Japan have a trade deal. For real this time.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance offers personalized rates and customizable coverages for your business vehicles. More at progressivecommercial.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. The U.S. and Japan have finalized their trade deal a month and a half after it was announced. President Trump signed an executive order putting it into force and ending a tariff roller coaster. Tariffs on some Japanese cars, for example, went from 2.5% up to 27.5% in April. Now they're back down to 15%. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has more.
The White House says there will now be a 15% baseline tariff on almost all Japanese imports. The agreement cuts tariffs on Japanese cars almost in half. The flat import tax will not be stacked on top of existing levies, so the tariff on Japanese products like cars and beef will be adjusted down to 15%. Japanese imports that were subject to a lower import tax will be adjusted up to 15%. The executive order says Tokyo is working toward a 75% increase in purchases of U.S. rice and promises to buy $8 billion worth of U.S. soybeans, corn, and other agricultural products per year. Japan also says it'll buy American planes and weapons, and Tokyo agreed to invest $550 billion in projects chosen by the Trump administration. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
Remember no taxes on tips? It was a campaign promise and then made it into the GOP's tax and spending law. Well, we now know, mostly, which jobs this would apply to. The Treasury Department released a list of them. The deduction is only supposed to go to people in jobs that traditionally got tips before the law passed. So a lot of jobs you would expect are on there. But as Marketplace's Kimberly Adams reports, so are a few surprises.
Waiters, taxi drivers, and hairstylists are among the 68 occupations on the list. Many of them already track their tips as part of their wages. But what about for plumbers and electricians? Alex Morishanu is with the Tax Foundation.
The IRS has criteria for what counts as a tip generally, but for some of these occupations, there will need to be more guidance on how eligibility will work.
Digital content creators, also on the list. Is getting a reward or a gift during a live stream a tip? Even if folks are eligible, according to Joseph Rosenberg at the Urban Brookings Tax Policy Center.
Our estimates are that, roughly about 3% of taxpayers are likely to benefit from that deduction.
Most workers take the standard deduction anyway, so no tax on tips won't exactly translate into a big difference come tax time. In Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams for Marketplace.
All eyes are on the jobs report coming out later this morning. It's going to tell us how many jobs the U.S. added, and it'll affect interest rate policy. We'll have live coverage. With that, let's do the numbers. Dow futures are down just 18 points, almost nothing. S&P futures are up 0.2%. NASDAQ futures up 0.5%. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.16%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com. And by Avalara, providing businesses with cloud-based tools and managed services for property tax compliance. From filing returns to tracking assessments, Avalara can help. Learn more at avalara.com/property-tax.
A study published in the journal Nature last year estimated disruptions caused by warming temperatures could cost $38 trillion a year across the globe by the middle of this century. Marketplace's Amy Scott with our How We Survive team has been reporting on the ways climate change is already showing up in the economy. Hi, Amy.
Good morning.
How is climate change showing up in our economy?
Well, of course, there's the direct cost of disaster, as anyone who has experienced recently the flooding in Texas or New Jersey or, the devastating wildfires in Southern California knows. Recovery is very expensive. The Trump administration has actually stopped tracking extreme weather events that cause more than $1 billion in damage. But last year, there were 27 such events, including drought, wildfires, winter storms, tropical cyclones. And the administration has also cut federal funding for climate mitigation, which is shown to actually save money in the long run. It is cheaper to prevent damage than to repair it later.
So there's the cost of, fixing all the stuff that climate change related storms break. But then there've got to be indirect costs. And I'm thinking of insurance, which has been rising. Has that stabilized at all?
Yeah, so unfortunately, premiums are expected to keep rising on average 8% this year for homeowner insurance policies. That's according to Insurify. And that's after a 20% increase the past 2 years. And of course, some places will see much higher increases, like California is projected to see more than 20% increases. And as I'm sure you know, Sabri, this isn't just from climate disasters, but also the higher building costs we've been seeing because of inflation and now tariffs and just more people living in harm's way. And experts say that is going to increasingly show up in the housing market as whole neighborhoods just get harder and more expensive to insure.
Yeah. Speaking of inflation, does climate change play a role in other kinds of inflation? I'm thinking food.
Yep, you've probably noticed higher coffee prices or chocolate prices. Oranges have gone up in price, and some of that is attributed to climate change because of the effects of warming temperatures or drought or flooding or storms on these crops. The Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Studies and the European Central Bank recently found that climate change could increase food inflation overall by more than 3 percentage points per year, and that would lead to higher inflation as well of more than 1% per year by 2035. And all this is making some staples in people's diets seem more like luxuries. The upcoming season of our podcast, How We Survive, is actually all about the future of food, and we'll be looking at some solutions. That launch is in October.
I will be looking forward to hearing it. All right, Marketplace's Amy Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sabri.
Amy and Marketplace host Kai Ryssdal are hosting a live webinar on September 9th with science writer Elizabeth Kolbert. You can sign up to attend at marketplace.org/climate. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.